This is going to be the worst speech you've ever heard at Speech and Debate, and I'd like to tell you about why. When we think of great speakers, who comes to mind? For you, it might be your favorite TED Talk, Obama, or Weird Al Yankovic. For me, it's Josh Gad. In 1999, he performed Hooah on the NSDA national stage. Gad has a discussion with the audience on risk-taking, good risks, bad risks, and what risk-taking meant to him. He ends his speech by telling us, Hooah! Throw our hands up and take a risk. And Gad practices what he preaches by not following the standard conventions of an oratory, by opening his speech boisterously singing, and by taking a break in the middle of his speech because his back was killing him. The speech was so captivating to me because it broke the tropes that had been associated with this activity for decades. But what saddens me about speech and debate today is that speakers like Gad were rare in 1999. This is not a speaking competition. It's a standardized test. Whereas 1600 is fitting the NSDA national champion mold like it's some perfect formula. And in the age of social media and AI, monotony in formulas is more present than ever before, when actually getting through to people is about breaking molds and engaging with them. But speech and debate teaches a formula, grades on the formula, and it becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. But what's the purpose of a speaker if not to inspire their audience, to teach us how to walk in a new pair of shoes and find the extraordinary in the ordinary? In his TED Talk, Inside the Mind of a Master Procrastinator, Tim Urban plays with procrastination in a new way. He meets his audience where they're at by using personifications of the mechanisms in our brain that make us struggle with getting things done. And he's very open about his own experiences. We need to be aware of the instant gratification monkey. That's a job for all of us, he says. And that job should probably start today. Well, maybe not today, but sometime soon. Julian Treasure in How to Speak So Others Want to Listen describes 4 traits that all great speakers have in common using the acronym HAIL: honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love. Great speakers make their audiences feel just as empowered as they do when they speak, bridging the gap between them. In The Power of Vulnerability, Brené Brown describes her career as a social worker and what it taught her about her own relationship to vulnerability, while making fun of herself in a way that hit home very deeply. In a story where she describes hiding her feelings in a banana nut muffin, she says, "I know that's knowing laughter. I hack into your lives for a living." The NSDA has their own vision of great speakers, and their mission statement goes as follows. We envision a world in which every school provides speech and debate programs to foster each student's communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creative skills. So, what happened? Well, speech and debate is dominated by 3 major states, California, Texas, and Florida, who created and popularized what I'll call the Caltech formula. So today, I'll demonstrate it for you. First, it begins with a catchy opening, usually a statistic or anecdote, then dives into the 3 main points the speech will touch on. Then, it addresses those 3 main points with clear transitions from topic to topic. And finally, it summarizes the 3 main points and ends with an emotional message to the audience. People who win trophies on the national stage do so by mad-libbing their speech into this formula, and there's nothing breaking it. Coaches teach it, so students use it, so judges come to expect it. So coaches teach it, so judges reward it, so students win with it over and over. And I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with formulas. I mean, cooking without a recipe, without at least some experience, is very difficult. Recipes are useful, and the principles behind formulas are sound. But if you eat the same food every day, it starts to lose its flavor. We expect our judges to spend hours driving to and from tournaments, spend 14 hours a day listening to the same speech formula 30 times in a row, and then we ask them to compare the same to the same to the same. What's strange, though, is if you listen to some of the best speakers, you can't even tell they used a formula. Recipes are safe. They increase the probability you get a tasty dish at the end. Formulas are safe. They keep us from making mistakes. But should we be avoiding mistakes? Mistakes are what propel us forward. Mistakes are how we stumble into new ideas. Humanity is built on mistakes. I was getting all of this feedback on how I was doing everything right. I understood and I practiced the formula. And I needed that positive feedback to feel like I was good at what I was doing. And I was worried about what would happen to me if I didn't get it. I thought that what I needed, what I was supposed to want, was to win. And to get that, I needed to follow this process. And if I can get what I want without having to take a risk, then it's risky to risk that. I think I needed a coach to tell me, it's the courage to say the words that you're afraid of saying, not because you have stage fright, not because you're worried about what others will think of you, not because you're scared to lose, but because what you're saying is so true. I realized when God talked about taking a risk, he was scared. My goosebumps were his goosebumps because we both knew he was right. God won the national championship 26 years ago. It's been that long, and I think we've forgotten a little bit about what he was saying. If we want speech and debate to be a competition where we learn how to speak, we need to reward the bravery as well as the structure. We need to teach more about the pinnacle of speaking, making people think, making people feel, changing our perspectives, rethinking the world around us, and one of the most important, learning how to walk in other people's shoes. To do this, we need to honor the attempts at it a little bit more, so we aren't afraid of making mistakes, and so we don't retreat to the safety of relying on formulas. Thank you.